Well, here we are. Just removed these antelope horns from an antelope, or pronghorn I should say. I'm in the habit of calling them antelope too, but it's North American pronghorn antelope. Now, it doesn't make any difference if you're going to do a horn mount or go ahead and mount the animal itself. These horns, which are fused hair, must be separated from the cores. There's some people that want you to go ahead and put them in a plastic bag, let them rot, and then slip them that way. Or there's several different ways. Microwave them. I talk about microwaving them a little bit in the book, in my book that I wrote. But the best way to do it is to go ahead and boil them in water plus a releasing agent. Okay, now, what am I talking about here? Again, we have to boil these, pull these sheaths off, which I'll show you later once they're ready, and clean off the meat membrane underneath here, let that dry, and then before you put the sheaths back on for a mounting, either for a horn mount or for an actual full shoulder head mount, you would have to go ahead and drill holes in the cores and bondo these back on. It's done, and it'll stay there forever. So it doesn't make any difference, even if you let these sit around. You really should clean them up, get off all the excess meat. The only way to do that is separate the sheaths from the core. The skull plate here, cut appropriately. So what I'm going to do here, I already have a little bit of water in here, already have it going. I'm going to go ahead and put some more water. Enough to make sure we're up over the main portion of the horns themselves. I'm going to use what's commonly referred to as super washing soda. It's Arm & Hammer style, whatever's available to you. The reason why I show these particular products is simple. They're usually available to everybody, as long as there's a grocery store or someplace where you can buy this. What this contains is sodium carbonate. What that does is it loosens up the flesh, the membrane, and allows you to go ahead and slip these sheaths off the cores. And also too, it's the same procedure you'd use for boiling skulls. So I'm going to put a little bit of this in here in the water. We're going to bring that to a boil. As a matter of fact, I had just enough. Now, just in case I did not have any super washing soda, I could go ahead and use the typical dishwashing liquid, powder I should say. Now this is a little bit more harsh, so you have to be careful with this. I'm going to boil these horns for about roughly 30 minutes and check on them. And then I will pull them out and see about putting my foot between them or so, hanging on to them, turning, twisting back and forth, and pulling this off. So I'm going to give it about 30 minutes of a boil. I'm going to put these in here now. Make sure everything's set right. And in case you happen to do any type of antlers on a larger surface, you have to be careful. You see where the flame is coming out the sides? You have to make sure nothing is protruding from the outside area of here, because if not, you're going to burn it up. And of course, you don't want to do that. So that's what you want to do there. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and allow this to go ahead and boil, and then we're going to come back and check in about 30 minutes. But I got to keep a watch on it. The wind's blowing out here today, and the work needs to be done, so it has to go forward. Or if it doesn't work out here, I'll take it inside and do it. But we'll be back here in about 30 minutes and check on it. And if they're ready to pull, we'll go ahead and go through that process, and I'll show you that. Well, it's been about that time. Let's just go ahead and check this. Now, I can pretty much see that everything is pretty much done. Now, also, when this is boiling, you want to make sure that it doesn't boil over. If you boil it too quickly, it'll boil over and probably put the flame out. So you want to be careful, especially if you do this inside. You want to be careful. Yeah, I'll go ahead and turn this off for safety reasons. I'll come back here, and you can automatically go ahead and see how nice everything's starting to come out. Now, normally, if these here were real rough and tough, what I would have to do is just simply go ahead and step on it like this, and go ahead and wiggle it back and forth. I'd have to go ahead and wiggle it back and forth and then just pull it off. But these here are pretty loose already. I can already see how loose they are. So that's normally how it's done. And you want to keep an eye on it. Make sure you don't over boil it, because if you over boil it, you'll distort the horns. So again, I can see how this is. Now here's one. Here's two. Now I gotta admit, it's usually not that easy. This is how you do North American pronghorn antelope horns. You separate the sheaths, this is called a sheath, from the cores. Now all of this, usually you just take a knife or your hands, and you'd go ahead and get a knife and scrape off all of this. Go ahead and pull this up. And it is still hot, so you gotta be careful of that. You have to pull that core off. Now if you just let these stay around and just harden on the core, that's going to be a little rough. So what you have to do is go ahead and make sure you boil these as soon as possible. If not, you're going to have to boil them, work them, boil them some more and work them, and then they'll go ahead and get loose. So a lot of times you can pick up used antelope horns and they'll be frozen on there, so to speak. They'll be solidified. So there you go. You took the cores off. Now you finish cleaning this off with a knife. Scrape this part down. You take 20 Mule Team borax. You cover this, put a little bit of borax in there, shake it up, put these off to the side where they won't get bothered by sunlight, any animals or anything like that, and let them dry for 3 or 4 days. Then you come back and you drill holes through here, 1, 2, 3 usually on both sides. Mix up a little bit of Bondo, and you have to make sure you have the right sides on the right places. And then you just go ahead and put them back on. They're all ready to go. You can go ahead and mount them up for a horn mount or mount them on the game head. And that's how you take care of antelope horns.